Okay, so I chose to do my topic on organization because I want to know more about how to aid my students in creating a strong structure for their writing, and I've seen it in reading a lot as well, reading instruction. So I'm going to talk about the definition of organization, what organization in writing looks like for students, models that can be used to teach organization, how organization looks like in development and student writing, and so what does the trait entail? The structure of the writing is pretty much what organization is. Is it easy to follow? Does the writing have direction? Are there transitions? Does it flow? Typically, organization is complex in longer pieces, but not always. So some examples of organization are compare and contrast, cause and effect, problem solution, main idea, and support. And I know in third grade reading, for sure, these are all styles that are taught to be recognized in reading. So I really like that they can tie into each other in that way. So what does organization look like in writing? It typically has a strong lead. It flows well with transitions. It's original. There's pacing, and I personally never thought about the pacing of writing until I was reading about this, so that is really interesting. And then an effective ending. So it doesn't just end, it leaves the reader thinking in some way, or it's an appropriate conclusion. So on pages 104 to 114, there are examples of organization in student writing, and the author has given each student piece a score 1 through 6. So some of the positive things that I noticed from the student writing is there are specific examples that help the reader follow along throughout their writing. They're focusing on a main point. The organization is smooth when sticking to one point. Precise language is enhancing not only the organization but the voice and the message, and message is an important part of organization. The leads and conclusions are vital, and good stories can have a few surprises, but of the trait. So these are just a few texts that I found on Writing Fix that were recommended, and I actually I've heard of most of these. I've heard of all of these, so I think it's cool that we can use some familiar text. So because of Winn-Dixie, Big and Little, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, If You Give a Pig a Pancake, and Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges. And I think you could use these texts all throughout the year so you can keep hitting organization. How does the trait unfold developmentally? So I thought about this as a stoplight. 1 would kind of be like red, like whoa, and 3 kind of like okay, and then green is 6, like yes, you got it, you're ready. So 1 has no clear direction, no lead or conclusion, challenge to follow thinking. All the information seems equally important, like nothing seems more important than anything else, so it's hard to see the key details, and the ideas really need help being sorted. So moving away from that, getting a little better between a 3 and a 4, the organization is loose. It's there, but it's loose. It could use some more structure. There are a lead and a conclusion, however, they need some work. There's probably a few things to be tweaked. Transitions are either way overdone or there's not enough, but there are a few. More time is spent on trivial information rather than strong key points, and the reader or audience can follow the writing, however they're doing so with a lot of thinking or work on their behalf. So 6, this is kind of the goal of organization in writing. It's thoughtfully structured. It's not just happens to be in order. It's thoughtfully structured and guides the reader's thoughts. It's proactive in the open trait supported instructionally. So organization is kind of like an umbrella, and under it we have lead, the message, ordering information, connecting thoughts, pace, and conclusion. So as an instructor, you first want to focus on one area under this umbrella and then decide on a strategy. So pages 115 to 124 in the Creative Writers text has tons of strategies for all of these, but I'm just going to share one for each. So for lead, model the writing of a lead. I really like this one. You can tell students to pick a topic. So maybe your students want to pick fishing. And then as the teacher, you're going to take the topic they gave you and write 3 different leads. And then students will read the leads, all 3 of them, and offer suggestions to make them better. And then in the end, they're going to pick their favorite lead that you did. So writing more than one lead gives the author more to choose from, and it helps the author warm up because the first lead you write might not be the best. The second aspect of organization, showcasing the message. So this is a strategy about creating a middle. So some students kind of leave out a middle and it's just a beginning and the end. So one thing they can do is make a list of questions about a topic and then put the questions in order. So if we're doing fishing again, how old do you have to be to fish? What kind of fish live in the ocean? What tools are needed for fishing? Etc., etc. And then they'll put the questions in order based on importance or maybe what fits with their piece, and then decide what's going to go in it. Ordering information, this strategy is called design possibilities. So you, as the instructor, provide students with different organized writing like recipes, board game instructions, maybe menus from a restaurant, and you tell students to identify the organization of the piece. So is it compare and contrast? Is it sequenced? Is it problem solution? And then the students say if this is the best organization. So they essentially defend it, and then you give them topics like adopting a dog, a bank robbery, or math book instructions, and they decide what organization is needed. So the next one is connecting thoughts, exploring transitions. So you can take a writing piece or a passage and blank out all the transitions and leave a line so it's blank, and then students fill in the blanks with their transitions, and then at the end you create a list of strong transitions as a class that they can use to refer to. Love pace because I just never thought about it. So you think with students about times in movies and talk about how movie time is different from real time. So in SpongeBob, when they say 1 eternity later, that's not real time. We didn't actually wait 1 eternity. We waited 2 seconds. So ask the students about movie moments where they notice movies like slow down and become extremely detailed, like in action movies, maybe during a fight, versus when there's more speed or a faster pace. One example you could use with your students is from a text, My Grandpa, on page 121 of Creating Writers, and then have students practice writing in a fast pace in one paragraph and then contrast with a slower pace in the next. And the last one, conclusions, killer endings. This was really just kind of tips. So keep endings short and simple, model for students, avoid abrupt endings, and give an image with feeling. You don't want to draw out the conclusion too long, just sweet and simple. So overall, I think there are a lot of strategies available for teaching organization, and I do think it's important because it helps the reader stay